I seen 357s, I seen 12 gauge shotguns, I seen 12 gauge on pumps, 8 shooters, I seen 45 military special with clip on the street, I seen big hand bazookas made, I seen 22 zip guns, I seen 38 zip guns, I seen, but I'll tell you, there's about things that you think you never see on the street. I've seen dynamite on the street. I've seen all of this. You'd be surprised, man. Pretty soon they're gonna steal the damn atom bomb.
Exactly what it says, crazy. You go off the drop of a hat.
Dynamite on the street. Atom bomb. Atom bomb. Atom bomb. Atom bomb.
Wrong thing? There we go. Welcome, hackers, to Saturday Hacker Day. My name is Taggart. Today we're going to do some blue team. Really excited for what we have going on today. But before we get rolling, a quick This Week in Cyber. Not a whole lot to cover today, except for Microsoft's no good, very bad month. Things just seem to keep getting worse for the old school tech giant. We've had Print Nightmare, we've had Serious Sam or Hive Nightmare, depending on whose threat intelligence you're following, which was not so much a vulnerability as it was a misconfiguration in the way that Windows handled sensitive registry hives since Windows build 1809. And to top it all off, we now have a not so much a vulnerability, just an actual feature that is working as intended that is exploitable through the remote printing protocol. And the attack for this is called Petit Potem. And so this makes the hat trick of really nasty and sort of easy to fix vulnerabilities, but that Microsoft may or may not actually address. So essentially with Petit Potem, you're able to use this remote printing protocol, and I'm generalizing very broadly, but you can coerce a Windows system to send NTLM hashes to a listening server that an attacker controls. So if you're using Responder or any of these other tools that you would use for collecting NTLM credentials, this just sort of, without having to have a user click on an LNK or visit an SMB share or anything else like that, you just can coerce a system to give out its hashes. Really, really powerful stuff. I was testing it yesterday, and it is pretty much an easy button to collect hashes. And then with those hashes, you can attempt to pass the hash to authenticate to any service that just requires the hash to authenticate, or you can attempt to do NTLM cracking if it's a weak credential. This is really, really nasty, and it makes for 3 really rough vulnerabilities that Microsoft has been dealing with this week. Now, is there other stuff going on in the cyber news? There absolutely is, but Windows administrators have been having a rough time dealing with this month, and it doesn't look like it's going to be getting better anytime soon. In particular, this Petit Potem vulnerability has been classified as a won't fix by Microsoft, meaning that this vector is going to be around for a while because it is the protocol working as intended. So there doesn't appear to be any great momentum at Microsoft to close this security hole, which is good news for the red team, not so much good news for the blue team. But today we are on the blue team, and we are going to be tackling the RangeForce Persistence Challenge. We did the RangeForce SOC Community Challenge a couple of weeks ago, and it went over like gangbusters. And so there was actually some request from viewers, and thank you for that, to do the RangeForce SOC, the Persistence Challenge on the stream. So that's what we're going to do today. There are 3 challenges: foundational, intermediate, and expert, and we're going to power through all 3, assuming that I'm up to it. And yeah, we'll see how we do. Without further ado, let's get hacking, or defending, I guess. All right, so I'm logged into rangeforce.com. If you want to join along, if you want to participate, you go ahead and sign up for an account at rangeforce.com. There you can make a free account. You can sign in with Google, GitHub, and I think Microsoft are the 3 OAuth providers that they'll allow you to sign in with or create a separate account. And you're looking for courses and the Persistence Challenge. So let me spin up the level 1 here. Let's also get the music going. How's everybody's week? Hopefully not too crazy. All right, let's see what we're in for here. We're in a GNOME environment. That's interesting. It used to be Mate, right? I guess they upgraded. Now we're using GNOME. You just joined Commensurate Technology, Comtech, as a SOC analyst and are eager to prove yourself. I am eager to prove myself. Fortunately, you may have been given that chance. There's a server in the company network that seems to be having some problems. The server had a recent CVSS 10 vulnerability that was patched, and there are hints in the file system that a malicious user could be logging in with some kind of persistence mechanism. Interesting. All right, well, hopefully they'll tell us what that CVSS 10 was, or we'll have some idea of what it is. All right, so we're doing Splunk today. Good, good. Let's go ahead and log into Splunk. Let's get all this going. Oh, interesting. The system title bar is working as intended. So we're going to go to splunk.lab. Let me disable Vimium here. And what are our credentials? Our credentials should be something like admin and RangeForce. Yeah. Admin, RangeForce. And there was another bit of instruction there. Investigate the server via SSH. Ooh, excellent. We can log in via SSH. Well, I definitely want to do that. Let's see what we have in the Splunk data. We don't know yet, so I'm just going to do kind of all time and just say index equals. And I just want to see what we have. Okay, we have. Let me zoom this in for you so it's a little bit easier to see. All right, we have Linux Audit, Linux Secure, and Auth. We have 2 hosts and 2 sources. So we have varlog auth.log, which is what I'd be SSHing into to check anyway on that server. So let's go ahead and check the auth source type and see what we have going on. And hopefully the fields are parsed well also. Source type equals auth. And let's see what fields we have parsed correctly. That's not auth. Let's look for login. No login. Let's look for the word from. So this really isn't SSH authentication, is it? Let's go back and see what else we have. So Linux Audit. Do we have Audit D? We do. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit... Here we go. So we actually have some of this in the Audit D logs, but there's an easier way to look up things like this. And to do this, we're going to SSH into the machine. That's why they gave us that information, so we're going to take advantage of it. Hostname server, and the username is student. Well, okay, server is 192.168.6.2. And so we're going to SSH student. Let me zoom that in for you as well. SSH student at server. That's very handy. No password. SSH key only. Very handy. Okay. So what are we looking at? The first thing we want to look at if we're curious about SSH logins, or where this is a production server, so many users are always logging in. Those users are in the sudo group and need to escalate their privileges often. So let's find out who's in the sudo group with looking at Etsy group. Dang. Okay, so we have a lot of folks in the sudo group. RF admin student, Sangro, Harry Chase, Pamela, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's a bunch in the sudo group. Now let's see what we have in var log. We can see. Oh, actually, I should check to see if I have permission. I can run everything as sudo. This is not a secure machine. That's really bad. Okay. Okay. Let's use my best friend, Vim, to look at the auth log. Right, that was dumb. So we're going to do sudo. There we go. We see a lot of the server listening. Here we go, accepted public key from root. Session opened. That's what we want to see. So let's actually use the power of Splunk here. Source type equals auth. Let's try open. Just the one. Interesting. That's for all time. Do we have SSHD and auth at all? We do, but it's not really working. Let's take out the source type and just look for SSHD. I want to see what we have going on here. So, okay, we have it in the audit D stuff, right? And what kind of types do we have? Because this is what we really want to see. User auth. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so type equals user auth. And I think we can get rid of that, actually. And then this is all time. Let's do a time chart on this one. Time chart count by... Do I have a user field on here? I have a UID. That's not helpful. I have an account. Okay, so that's what I'll do a time chart by. Time chart count by ACCT. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm looking for patterns, right? I'm looking for baselines to see what's normal and anything that, let's take out the others. There we go. So let's see. So we're seeing some pretty normal behavior. We see like doubles here for Alphonse Blankenship, Serena Nolis, Pamela Alvarado, Charles Sexton. All these were in the sudo group. Okay, we're going to convert this to verbose mode so that I can look at events as well. And we're going to hostname. So instead of counting by account, we're going to count by hostname to see if we see any patterns there. Okay. So nothing's showing up as, you know, like an external or a weird IP. Nothing's showing up just once, right? Which would be something interesting. And nothing's showing up a lot of times. We have a few things showing up just a few times. Right, if I wanted to do rare host, it would tell me host name. But they're all like onesies and twosies, so it doesn't really help me, the rare calculation. From which IP are the malicious SSH logins coming from? We need to find some other indicator of malicious activity. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our Linux audit to see what else we have going on here. And actually, let's see what the Linux secure logs look like. Okay, here we go. Get ent shadow. That's probably not awesome. Now, unfortunately there's a mix of logs in here, as you can see. So we want to look for events with this field, right? And I want to see what's going on here. We have get ent shadow. And actually, let's look up get ent to get the entries of important text files. Okay. Looks like get ent shadow might just be part of the normal login process, so that's not super helpful. We're still not seeing anything that looks straight up malicious. We're just seeing logins. Is there some other bit of information that I mean, I should have been given information about? Also added extra logging when they patched the vulnerability. Let's see here. What are so we know that this is persistence, right? So look for basic persistence stuff on here. Netstats not installed. Although, interestingly, I can install it. Because as we know, the RangeForce stuff is connected to the internet. What's listening on 8089? Oh, it's the Splunk. Ooh, what? But it's listening? This isn't the forwarder? Are we on the... Oh my god. We're on the Splunk server. Okay. That is weird to me, but okay. Was the vulnerability in Splunk? Okay, let's look for failed logins. Let's see if we find anything there. Oh, that we actually have an adder field. Hey, okay, let's get rid of use other. And let's also set up the limit to be like 20 because I don't want to miss anybody. All right, here we go. Now we're seeing something spike. Okay, so we see a spike in failed logins from 122, 165, 134.11. We have these oddball 119s, which we don't see a lot of, but not necessarily a giveaway. So instead, we're going to check out, I mean, the first thread I have to pull on is, you know, we have, even though the N is very low, we have from this IP address at this given time, right, or in this, if we look at maximums, we have double the number of failed logins. So we're going to see if we can learn something about that. And I want to see everything that that IP address is showing me. So I'm going to just look across fields. Actually, let me duplicate this tab, because I want to leave that up. So I'm going to look for everything across source types for, what is that, 122.165.134.111. Okay. So some of these are logins that are successful, and it looks like it's Rachel Arnold. How many account fields, how many accounts do we have? It's actually from a bunch of people. So same IP, multiple usernames. That's not, although we have double the number for Sangroach. Now, this isn't necessarily an indicator. This could be a shared machine, or it could be a jump box or something like that. We don't know. But it is odd. All right, let's look for just the Linux secure stuff. Yep, so we're seeing the login, logouts. Now let's go and look at the audits. Let's see what we're looking at here. So this is the audit D version of seeing an authentication happen. But that is not it. All right. And these are just from authlog, right? No, it's not. Most of this is me. I'm creating these logs. Other than this get ent shadow. Time to learn a little bit about that. Get ent. To get entries from the name service switch libraries, use the get ent. Is this supposed to be happening? It feels like, it looks like everybody is doing this. Right? From every user, we're seeing sort of the same thing. We're seeing get ent. Hey, Gromit. I'm Mr. Robot. I wish. Well, no, I don't. I want... Yeah, you know what? Let's look at the miter attack. And let's look up the... persistence. And... I guess it could be through SSH keys. So many of these are... I don't think we're going to be an auto start. RC items. Maybe. I mean, I feel like it's just that an account was made. You know what I mean? What are we looking at here? We're looking at... Okay. All on the 24th. Okay. So all time, everything happened in 1 hour on Saturday, July 24th. Interesting. root was doing most of it. Other users doing everything else. Let's see what everything root was doing. So, this doesn't seem... sudo set cred. That's weird, I think. This is all today. Hold on. This is all me right now. Okay, stop. We have to be looking at June 10th. Okay, this narrows things down a little bit better. Because, like, everything that's happening today is not useful. This is why time is, like, the most important thing you need to keep in mind when you're reviewing one of these. Server listening, port 22. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. SSH import ID. Now, here's the thing, though. Because this is a training box, it's entirely possible that this was just, like, the setup of the machine. Yeah, adding student to shadow group sudo. We're just looking at, like, the machine itself. New user name equals student. We're looking at the setup of the box here. Password for admin. Okay, so we've gone too far back in time, is what I've discovered. Okay, so here's the deal. We have June 10th, which is when the box was set up, right? And so if we're looking at that, we're not looking at real data, or the data we're supposed to be looking at. We have 66 events on July 19th. Let's give that a shot. And let's go. All right, a lot of authentication. This is still setup stuff, right? Splunk getting added. Did I misread something? Is there another machine here? No. Okay. This appears to still be setup information. Right? Look, system D is getting sorted. Okay, going back to all time. Okay. So maybe they set it up to actually create the behavior today, like on the day that you run the lab. That would be very clever. But if so, let's look at the first things that happened today. Let's look at the beginning here. So system D boot up. I mean, we're looking at thousands of events here. Let's get rid of the system Z stuff. Okay, that's 10,000 events. So Sangroach was the first one to log in from this IP address. But shortly thereafter, we have others. Let's do a time chart on this, actually. Just to see here if there's... Okay. What? Why is it so... Okay, so root, obviously, and then other. So we're say... use other equals false. So first in the door was Boris McIntyre. And we're going to change the span here as well to be 5 minutes, just to see if we can do better. Come on. There we go. This gives us a much better picture of what we're seeing here. So root does stuff, and then users do stuff. But I mean, yes, we have a lot of users here, but if we don't have command tracking, which we don't, right? And they didn't tell us what the vulnerability was, right? We're just like, find malicious activity. Okay. Well, what is malicious on a Linux server? What looks malicious on a Linux server? Adding a user, right? Hey, Fieldhead, you're absolutely right. A bunch of users with sudo, all with no password, looks suspicious. Insanely, that is exactly how the server is set up. Are you kidding me? So everybody in the sudo group has the ability to execute sudo commands with no password. So great, thanks. Good job. It makes things easy for the red team, but we're on the blue team today. Added to group sudo. Okay, this all happened. I mean, 44. This has happened within a second, so this was automated, right? All right. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was very strange. The only thing we have to go on is, you know, essentially volume here. I really don't know what they're asking for. Are they like, is like, there an IP that looks slightly different than the others? I mean, there's this 120, I guess. I seriously have no idea what they're asking for here. They've given us so little to go on. But I guess, you know, if I were doing this for real, what would I be doing? I would be looking for, I'd be running like a Mandiant redline collector. I'd be capturing a forensics image. Time to think outside the box a little bit. Who's been modified most recently? Alphonse. And actually, Root. Let's look at Root. Okay. Okay, no bash history there. Okay, none of these have. Every home folder looks exactly the same. Except for student. That was dumb. No, I don't think so. Okay, this is what we saw before, right? That our authentication failure is coming from here. And it did not like this. It didn't think that this was the right IP address. Oh, wait. Yes, it did. Okay. Did I just not copy it right before? Because we definitely found these authentication failures. I'd like to point out that Splunk failed me and Vim saved me. I just want to point that out, as usual. Okay. I didn't love this one. I'm gonna give this one a kind of a rough review just because... No, I'm pretty annoyed at that. Failed logins are not by themselves a malicious indicator. People fail logins all the time. If it was a high volume of failed logins, then sure, but we didn't see that. We saw, like, what, 1 or 2 more from a given IP than others. That's not sufficient. We need another piece to suggest that there was something malicious. And also, this wasn't persistence, right? It's not what it was. So, RangeForce, I don't know. I think this was a big swing and a miss on this one. let's move on to the next challenge. Could you imagine? I mean, I have users who fail logins every day. I can't treat them all as malicious. I can't even treat repeat failed logins as malicious. I mean, we have, you know, you should have policies for account lockouts, things like that, but that alone, what else can you add into the mix with failed logins to make it look suspicious other than high volume? High volume, like, let's say 1.5 standard deviations, right, above your normal failed login count. That's significant, literally statistically significant. But what else can you add, chat, to your search, to your detection, to look for suspicious failed logins? IOC and authorized keys? Well, if you see it, but you probably won't. And IOC and authorized keys would be pretty weird. What you might look for is, look, and don't get too technical with this. We're talking about patterns of detection here. If it's from a new IP, right, that has never logged in before, that's something new, right? So failed logins from a new IP, that immediately should raise some eyebrows. Also, think about time. If logins are happening at a time when they don't usually, that should absolutely be suspicious. And if you have all three, new time, different location, or different source, that's definitely suspicious. Now, in real life, that's a little bit more complicated these days with everybody working from home. And also, especially right now in the summer, at least in the northern quadrosphere, I guess the northern hemisphere it's summer. Everybody's going on vacation, and so you're going to see a lot more logins from weird places. That's really difficult to deal with because you're going to see that it's going to look anomalous when in fact it's like, oh, somebody's logging in from, I don't know, the Bahamas. It's like, yeah, because they're on vacation. All right, what are we looking at here? Something else that you can use just as indicators there, if it's a web login in particular, I really like doing, is user agents, right? If you have, or device profiles, if you have a user with a specific device profile, and then all of a sudden they start using something totally different, that can be a really great indicator. So for example, if you have, this is a good one. If you have somebody like most web browser users, right, who are using Google Chrome or mobile Safari or something like that, and all of a sudden you see them coming from Mozilla Firefox, right? That's probably not the same user. People on average, right, don't switch to Firefox, and so what you may be looking at is an indicator that somebody's using a Kali machine or something like that. So user agents are another really good detection. The trick is, how do you automate the detection of anomalies, right? In order to do that, you have to be collecting data, creating central tendencies, right? Mean, median, and mode, and you're quantifying those, and then being able to alert when something is new or exceeds those parameters. It's really tricky. There's a lot of math involved, and it's you know, most sims don't come with this out of the box. That's why people pay a lot of money for user behavior analytics software, because that's what it does, is it looks for these patterns and alerts you when there are anomalies in these patterns. All right, what are we after here? All right, we're in the same spot. Oh, good. Now we actually have something to go hunt down. The hacker is constantly recreating a file in the root directory. Love it. All right, let's start in Splunk. So I have this browser extension that I love dearly called Vimium, which gives me Vim-like controls on my web browser. So for example, on this window, I can use the J and K keys to scroll up and down. And actually, I can even, if I press the F key, it brings up these cool little keyboard shortcuts to do, like, if I press L, it'll click on that link for me and take me there. And then, like, I can use Shift H to go back and Shift L to go forward. If you're a Vim person, that's really, really cool because you get to have those same shortcuts in the browser. However, if you're working in a virtualized window like this, it goes crazy because the Vim shortcuts mess with what you're trying to do in the virtual desktop. Okay. I'm sorry, what? Oh, it's Splunk.lab. Okay. Admin, RangeForce. Should go all the way. It's not cute browser. I'm a brave devotee, Neon. Although maybe I should just use links. Okay, what do we got? So stuff from yesterday and then stuff from today. Now, this isn't going to be... I'm not looking for... I don't really care. Based on what they're telling me, I don't really care about SSH stuff. Oh, finally, we're getting commands. Let's say command not equal user bin get int shadow, because we don't care about that one. Should have had quotes. There we go. I'm sorry, that's exactly what I don't want to see. Oh, user bin get int. Okay. Ooh, here we go. Now we're finding stuff. Okay, so somebody was running sudo with the working directory of Marcelino Montgomery, which ostensibly would be the user who signed in, and they ran chown root this I was here lulz. Okay, cute. And echo you can't get me to leave hacked by hacker. Same thing. All right, so we've found the malicious activity right here. A lot of who am I's here. What else do we have? Just a bunch of who am I's and then echoes. So I think this was just made for filler. These echoes for or the who am I's, I think these were just filler. But let's take a look at what's going on in Marcelino Montgomery's home folder. The first thing we'll do is let's look at the Etsy cron tab, because again, this is the persistence challenge, so let's see if there's anything set up. Not in the top level, but there might be other stuff. But we have a lead here in Marcelino. Okay, nothing there. What is happening? God. So popularity contest is an actual thing. That's not an indicator. That's just part of... What are we on? Ubuntu. Yeah, it's part of Ubuntu. Popularity contest is the usage telemetry. Phoning home to Canonical. That's interesting. And why do we have an SSH key? What's the question here? Oh, what is the username of the malicious actor? We're going too far. Marcelino Montgomery. Stop the attacker. Stop the attack by disabling the user login. Do not delete the malicious user account. No login. Can I do no login for specific users? Oh, of course. Yeah. We do it in SBIN, or we do it as the shell. But I want to... But you're absolutely right. So part of that would be... we want to CHSH. Let's look at change shell. So yeah, okay. So CHSH SBIN no login for Marcelino Montgomery. It would help if I could spell. And I need to give it the -S for the shell. There we go. Okay, so Marcelino can't log in anymore. But that's not, I don't think that's good enough. Here's why. Yeah, see? Okay, this is not yet secure because even though we've disabled the user's login, the user has added their SSH key to the root user, and the root is allowed to log in over SSH. So the attacker can still log in as root. We have not yet kicked the attacker off the system, even though technically this part is done. So that might be what we do in the third part. I'm not sure, but just as a heads up, like, watch out for that because yes, we've killed that user, but if they log in as root with the same SSH key, it doesn't really matter. Also, don't let people log in as root via SSH. That one was better. As someone who has recently just put together, you know, a set of challenges on Linux, I'm very empathetic to RangeForce about how to make them and how to kind of hide the behind the scenes stuff from what you're making versus what you're trying to present. It's not easy. It definitely isn't. I guess for me, it's just that they've done such a great job with other stuff. This feels a little bit like lower in nutritional content. All right, level 3. Let's do it. And if we knock this out quickly, I have a thing that we can do that's just fun. And I was turned onto this by the Guar, and if you don't know the Guar, you should go check out his channel. He, Footpix, and myself are probably we're listed in the Hackstream list as the only 3 blue teamers on Twitch. Although that's not entirely fair because I do red team and blue team, so I can't claim to be pure blue team. Okay. From which IP are the malicious SSH logins coming from? Do we just do the same thing? Yeah. But this is number 3. It's got to be, it's the same question, but it's got to be somewhat different. Yeah. There it is. I mean, almost certainly, right? Is it just what we found last time? With the SSH key? Is that... Yeah, good call. Yes, it is. But that's not necessarily surprising, right? Yeah, it's coming from the firewall forwarded through. It's like a NAT or something. Yeah, that's wrong. Just making sure. All right, let's see what we have in Splunk. Maybe they actually gave us firewall logs or something this time. So I have browser history? What? Oh, let me disable Vimium. All right. What do you got for me? This challenge was easier compared to previous challenge from RangeForce. It was fun. I guess. All right, let's look for low-hanging fruit, right? Let's look for res equals failure or something like that. Okay, so it didn't notice that we care about res, but we do. Okay, well that's unhelpful. Ooh. There we go. So we've got people logging in as root from 121, 194, 2.251. It's probably not great. Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's the same deal, right? Why? Do all of these people have root login? Okay. Well, we identified the malicious IP, right? So we're gonna search for that. Just one account. Let's see if we have it elsewhere. Maybe we can find out which key they're using. And if it's not there, yeah, there it is. Let's look for... Actually, let's not do this in Vim. What we're going to do is we're going to grep and then we're going to put the space F 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Cut the F2. There we go. I just can't count. All right, who are you? And if we want to find the unique ones, right? Okay. So to actually get unique works by line, so I have to do sort first and then unique and only print out the unique lines. I don't actually, sorry, that's not right. So we have two of these and I want to do unique -C for the count. Okay. So 138 logins with this SSH key and 1 with this one. So we're going to go check out who has this SSH key. And actually, I want to avoid cat abuse, so grep that SSH authorized keys. Nobody? Is that? Oh, it's because the fingerprint. It's not the actual key. That was dumb. That was just like a fundamental misunderstanding about what I'm getting from that. But we have this IP, and only one. Oh, wait, I need to hash the public keys, don't I? Right, this is the SHA-256 hash of it. So I have to... I'm so used to doing this in the fish shell that I forget how to do it in bash well. Oh, dang it. Because there are slashes, of course. Ugh. You know what? We're doing it in Python. Do I have? Hell yeah, I am. I'm installing interactive Python on my local machine, or the virtual machine, because I can, and it's better. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cat all these authorized keys, right? And we're just going to just do a little copy pasta. All right, you kidding me? Great. And then this other tab, okay, looks like we have all of them. And I don't really need the first field, so I'm going to just replace the first field with nothing. Okay. And then we'll quit out of that, or save it. And then let's open up IPython. Okay. Import hashlib, because we know we're going to be making SHA-256 hashes. And then we're going to do with open SSH keys.txt. Notice that I get that tab auto completion for files because interactive Python rules as F. Lines equals F dot read lines, and we'll say for L in lines. Actually, just kidding. We're gonna make this better. L dot split. At the space. And then let's just print L just to show you what we're doing. Oh. For L in f.readlines. Just kidding. So what we're doing here is we're taking that text file and we're splitting it out between here and here. Right? Now notice that I've got that username at the end here, or that new line at the end here. So what I'm gonna do is so keys. So I'm gonna say user equals L1, which is this value here, the username, dot strip, which takes off the new line, and then key equals L0, and then I'm basically saying keys for user equals key. Now, if I look at my keys, I have this nice dictionary of all of my keys listed by listed by user. Now, here's the part that I need to do next. I need to SHA-256 hash this. I'm pretty sure. Let's try. Right, so now I have that key. And notice that I have the SHA-256. And I have to give it must be encoded. So turn it into bytes. And then .hex digest should give me. Okay. So does that look kind of like? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm looking for is the SHA-256 hash that matches this root login. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to say for k in keys. I'm going to say this is a little bit strange, but when we loop through dictionaries in Python, you'll notice that I'm getting the key, not the value. So for k in keys, it's actually, I should probably say for u in keys or for user in keys to make it clear. So what we're going to do is say key equals keys with an index of user. And then I'm going to say hash equals hashlib. Ooh, hash is a hashed. Because apparently, let's say, actually, so, sorry. Keys, user. You doing okay, Field Ed? Hashlib, SHA-256. I might be going overkill here. Like, I could just blow away all the authorized keys in root. But I want to find out whose SSH key this is. Oh, you're right. The chat isn't loading. Sometimes that happens. Streamlabs kills it for some reason. There. Now it's back. Key.encode .hex digest, and then print user, and then hashed. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any of those that match. And that might be just me making a... It's obviously me misunderstanding something about what I'm looking at here. And is it because what I see for the SHA-256 hash in the log is the hash of the private key? let's get at this another way. Let's see if somebody's used that hash to log in as anybody else. So I'm going to look for grep-v root. No, they've only ever logged in as root. No, it is the hash of its public. Now, it's entirely possible that there's something else in what I'm hashing that's messing this up. What is the SHA-2? Here we go. So what is the SHA-256 that comes in on the SSHD entry and auth log? It's for the RSC public key, so it is. Wait a minute. Decode the key to bytes using base 64. Because they're base 64 encoded. Okay. Cute. Well, the good news is Python has a B64 module. Is it base 64? Yeah. Okay. The other thing I love about... Yeah, see? B64 decode. Is, whoa. I have that tab auto completion, B64 decode, and I want to decode this right here. But we have to encode it as bytes first. So you get the... I'm going to use SSH keygen to verify the key. Let's try maybe that. Whoops, wrong thing. Let's go back over to our root. Let's understand what the L command does, or the L option does. Show fingerprint of specified public key file. But that's not going to help us out, right? Because that's like the other direction. We don't have the public key. We're trying to find... Okay, I guess the question is, what is in... Yeah, but what's the actual... So those are the public keys? I don't think that's entirely right, but let's find out. So... Oh, sorry, I missed a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Sorry about that. So to learn scripting Python, any suggested resources? So if you want to learn Python, I'm going to recommend you check out last year's Hack Summer. We did a whole video series of learning Python. And I remember you, yes. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Okay, so that is... So the entire public key is, in fact, in the authorized keys. It is. So it's just straight. No encoding. That's what's in there. Right? Because if we look at... Yep, exactly that. So in order to verify it, or basically what we want to do is we want to turn this public key into the public key fingerprint that we're getting in the SSH logs. In order to do that, we have to take the public key, decode it from base 64, hash it, turn it back into bytes, and base 64. So let's try just a one-off with these. So I need to take the fingerprint, right? So I'm going to try... Whoa, sorry that the stream just got disconnected. Okay. Okay. Let me back this up. So we have the base 64 in what? In this? Yes. But what if I just, okay, what if I just knock off every... So we're once again, so we have all the authorized... who has a ain't there. Is there some other thing that's going on here? I thought maybe they had created an LXD container. So, okay, we have the... We have the base 64 encoded theory. ED25519. 256. This isn't anything we don't already know. That's weird. Made it to the end of the
let me just remind everybody that Hack Summer is happening, and